This is one of the biggest topics that I think impacts the most retirees. The people who are still working have all this money, their life savings in a 401k. If you're 25 years old, it's great. If you're 35 years old, it's great. If you're 45 years old, it's great. But once you hit 60, there's this sense I think people have that the 401k is this safe thing and they're doing the right thing. And in fact, as we're going to talk about today, it becomes your enemy.
Retirement for life. Your passport to a comfortable and confident retirement. The podcast that's equal parts education and entertainment, where we break down the retirement maze with a dash of fun and a heap of wisdom from your host, Christian Sear CPA, the passionate retirement specialist and president of Sear Financial Wealth Advisors, the independent registered investment advisor specializing in the AIM retirement system.
The 401k becomes your enemy when you turn 60. That's what we're talking about today on the Retirement for Life show. I'm Chris Sear, CPA, and this show is about making retirement fun, making it interesting, making it informative, giving solutions, right? You can find us, as always, on retirementforlife.com. I want to say hi to you guys and say thank you for being here today. It's supposed to be a day off, right?
Yes.
It is, yeah.
And this show airs, I think, on January 12th, and it's not January 12th, but when people hear this, it's going to be January 12th. They're not going to be thinking about Christmas, but for me, since we just had Christmas, how was your Christmas break?
It was really good. I spent a lot of time with friends and family and always enjoy this time of year.
Yeah.
Tell me one thing you got for Christmas, Austin.
I got a nice pair of new shoes I'm looking forward to wearing here around the office.
Me
actually.
too.
Yeah.
Right here, new shoes. How about you? How was your Christmas?
It was good. It's more quiet now with older kids, except for when we go to my mom's and there's kids kind of wreaking havoc at her house, but it was really fun.
Yeah, there's always a little bit of that at Christmas time. Brooke, did you have a nice Christmas?
I did. Our house got a lot smaller with all the new toys, so.
Yeah.
Yeah, that happened.
My garage got a lot smaller.
Yeah.
I got a Blackstone grill, and Jamie got the biggest one you could find. It's like 3 feet by 2 feet, and then when you add all these extensions, it's just huge. So I spent 4 hours cleaning up my garage, and in the 4 hours it took me to clean the garage, it took Jamie 4 hours to actually put the Blackstone together. She's such a great wife. I just love her. 27 years, and the girl is celebrating Christmas by putting together a Blackstone. All right, but let's get into it. So this is one of the biggest topics that I think impacts the most retirees. The people who are still working have all this money, their life savings in a 401k. If you're 25 years old, it's great. If you're 35 years old, it's great. If you're 45 years old, it's great. But once you hit 60, there's this sense I think people have that the 401k is this safe thing and they're doing the right thing. And in fact, as we're going to talk about today, it becomes your enemy. And we're going to talk about that. There are some solutions, how to protect your 401k, best practices, if you will. I feel like most people don't know about this, and it's one of the reasons why we started this podcast, to alert people to the problems that are out there in the industry. This is one of the biggest, and I can't wait to get to it today. After we get to that, we're going to show them what to do with their 401k, why it's at risk. We have the question of the day, which is about
an in-service distribution and how to do one.
Yeah, that's basically a big part of the solution we're going to talk about. And then after that, actually before that, I think we have the guess the number game, Austin.
Yep. We're going to be looking at how much risk is in these 401ks.
How much risk is in the 401ks? What's the solution? And remember, we're going to make it fun. So let's get back to what we're doing. Oh, and I'm going to do what's on my mind last, best for last. But let's get right to it. Yeah, best for last. Yeah. All right, so let's get right to it. Okay, so we're talking about 401k and the danger in 401ks. We have seen this our entire career. People don't realize it. They have this innate thought that everything in their 401k is fine. And it is if they're 25, 35, 45. But once they reach 60, it's seriously a problem. And we see it every day.
Yep.
So in 2014, I'm just going to show this white paper really fast. These two guys, Michael Kitces, if you're a financial advisor, everybody in the world who's an advisor knows Michael Kitces. Most people, though, don't take the time to get into the work of the co-author of this white paper, which was published in 2014, Dr. Pfau. This guy is awesome. He thinks exactly. He has taught us a lot about how we plan for retirement. Our AIM retirement system is based a lot around his work. And, searching for white papers on the internet for work like this is a little bit daunting until he came out with his retirement planning guidebook, which is like my Bible, But anyway, this paper changed everything for us and how we plan. And at the crux of this paper is basically what he says. Returns experienced in the fragile decade around retirement date matter a great deal more than the retirees realize. And we see that.
It's true.
We will pull up a person's 401k. They're 63 years old. They're about a year away from retirement. And we show them, did you realize that this could potentially happen to your 401k in the next year or two? We see it. And he is right. And most people don't realize it. And here he is, he's as a CFA. He's trying to let people know about this. And our job here today is to show people why it's a problem. This is based off of his work. We've talked about the retirement danger zone. So what he's saying, that fragile decade, it's that red section of the screen. That is what we used to show at seminars, right? Yep. We'd put on an hour-and-a-half seminar. We'd show 45 slides. And inevitably, they'd only remember one thing. They'd come up to us, Brooke, and say, what? They'd say, am I in the danger zone? I think I'm in the danger zone.
Yeah.
But it's really critical. So people need to understand this 10-year period, 5 years before you retire, 5 years after, you cannot afford to lose money. Period. End of story. So we developed this formula, and it's part of our AIM retirement system. Okay, the AIM retirement system actually is centered around a lot of things that Dr. Wade actually talks about. And I think this is one of the keys. And so basically what this shows is when you're 30 years from retirement, you invest like a crazy person, right?
Yep.
But what happens when you turn 60? What should you be doing?
You need to not lose money. You need to be conservative.
You just can't. So you have to change. You have to change how you're investing. But again, people, if they're retiring at 65, don't have the ability to change. They just have this 401k, and we're going to show them the solution to that today. But this graph shows like danger. So when you're young, be crazy. When you get to 60, don't lose money. And so that really leads us to the numbers game.
My favorite part of the day.
Yeah, let's get to that.
Let's do it.
Hey everyone, did you know that the majority of us don't understand this finance retirement stuff? Do you realize that the average retiree does not have a financial advisor? I believe one of the biggest reasons why is because when we walk into that financial advisor's office or we pick up the phone and call that financial advisor, we just don't even know what to say. There are 350,000 financial advisors in the United States, and frankly, only a handful of them are really acting in your best interests and able to help you with a confident and comprehensive retirement. So how are you supposed to find out of 350,000 advisors the one that's right for you? About 12 years ago, I started working on the 5 topics to discuss with your financial advisor. It started out as a 3-page document, and today it is now up to 14 pages. It is, in my opinion, the best document in the industry, and why every retiree doesn't have this tool in their hand to discuss with a potential advisor or with their current advisor, giving the tools to know what to ask and giving you the answers of what you should be hearing back. This tool, in my opinion, is one of the best in the industry, and we give it away free. We have always given away free. The best way to get a hold of it is go to 5toask.com. That's the number 5, TOASK, the number 5, toask.com. 5toask.com. You give me your name and your email, and I will email this to you. It is by far the best tool that you need to arm yourself with the questions that you need to ask. 5toask.com and get the 5 topics to discuss with your financial advisor today.
Guess the number game.
Okay, Austin, so what is the Guess the Number game today?
So to set the stage, I went through all the 2025 target date funds. And the question I have for you guys is how many assets are in those funds?
Well, let's first explain to everyone what a target date fund actually is.
Yeah, these people don't know what target date fund is.
Yeah. So target date fund is basically you're choosing the year in which you think you're going to retire. So if you think you're going to retire in 2025, you pick target date 2025.
It's like investing for dummies.
Right.
And so the problem is, as a former CFO, I remember in our 401k, we had 12 investment choices. Nobody knew what to invest in. And so people were going to their coworkers, which funds am I in? People are going to their parents, their neighbors, and it's just like this big chain. And like the most popular guy in the office, he decides that you should be in this fund. Then everyone else is in that fund because Joe from accounting is in it, so we got to be in it. And the secret is Joe from accounting knows nothing about investing. So basically the solution were these target date funds.
Right.
It's like a set it and forget it. You don't have to go ask your dad, what do I do with my 401k? You don't have to ask Joe from accounting how to invest in a 401k.
Right.
Right now, 85% of assets in 401ks in America are in these target date funds. And it's really the best way to invest because it adjusts for you as you get older.
Right.
So back to my question, how much is in these 2025 target date funds?
So there's about $200 billion.
Yep, $206 billion.
Right. $200 billion. And that is just for people in 401ks that are going to retire in the next year.
Wow.
Just $200 billion. It's a lot, right, Brooke?
Yeah, wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's a lot of money. So we're talking about $200 billion in a target date fund for somebody who's going to retire in the next year.
So how much is at risk to the stock market in those funds?
So so the 2025 is going to be about 50% in the market
How do you know that?
because of our meetings and going through it with our clients that come in.
She's an expert.
Yeah, we show that to
Common
people
question.
a lot.
Yeah.
And so what happens when you have a 64-year-old couple, who walks into the office and we break down their portfolio, their perceived safe portfolio,
Yeah.
and you show them that 51% of their money is at risk in the stock market? What is their general reaction?
They're usually surprised. They didn't realize it was that much at risk.
They're like, whoa,
Yeah.
just like Brooke just said.
Yeah.
Yeah. So this is really at the crux of the issue. In episode 1, we said the industry has set us up to fail. We actually told people about the document, 5toask.com, where they can get every single question that they can ask their advisor. And in this process of asking your advisor questions, that is something that you should be going through. And when you learn that the industry in billions of dollars is actually selling it short, because that's just the 2025 fund. There's the 2030 fund. There's the 2035 fund. It goes all the way up to, I looked today, 2065 fund. You're talking about $27 trillion of retirees' assets. The majority of them are in these target date funds.
Right.
And so when it comes down to it, people are walking off the street, becoming a client of ours, walking to our office, and I'm showing them, or you're showing them, or Austin's showing them that if the stock market changes, this could be drastic for your retirement. And it just really frustrates me. So put it into perspective.
Let's take a step back and look at this. So let's say you have $1 million in your 401k.
Okay.
Let's say the market drops 20%. You lose $100,000 out of your 401k.
100 grand.
So now let's take the next step, 30% decrease in the market. How much money do you lose there?
You lose 150 grand. Now let me ask you, Miss Brandon, has the market ever dropped 30% in a year?
Yes, definitely.
Absolutely it has. Right?
Next step, say you lose 40%. That's $200,000 you've lost.
So I'm getting ready to retire. I'm putting my money in a professional fund with $206 billion other dollars of other people's money, and you're telling me that if the market drops 40%, I would lose $200,000.
You would,
Yep.
yeah.
Yeah, and that changes your retirement.
Yeah, you'd probably be delaying your retirement.
Yeah, definitely.
It changes your retirement. I just feel like it's frustrating when we show people this, they don't realize it. And that's what's wrong with target date funds. So your danger zone starts 5 years before you retire, yet these target date funds are literally exposing people, and I saw it firsthand, okay? My dad, in 2008, lost nearly half of his money because he was in a target date fund. And with millions of other Americans who, even 10 years after that, were still reeling from what went wrong in their target date funds. If you don't believe me, look at here. So these are the top 7 target date funds, 2010 target date funds. that dropped as much as 40%. And these are the funds, the target date funds, that are supposed to protect you in your 401k if you're going to retire in a year or two. They didn't. That's why I think the in-service distribution is so important. It's this IRS law that allows people to protect their 401k, and it's just as simple as that. You have to do it.
Yeah.
So the target date may not be an option. In my opinion, I strongly think it's not an option based on what I just showed you. So we'll talk about what you can do a little bit later, but the basic solution to this problem is a little thing that most people don't know. But you're able to basically take your money and get it out of that 401k and protect it. But it's important to say, with this solution, there's a price to pay. Nothing in life is free. So if you look at this screen, if you take a look at the left-hand side, that is basically the potential outcomes if you remain in your 401k in the target date fund that we talked about, the 2025 target date fund. Okay. On the right-hand side is what happens if you opt to protect your 401k. And I just want to take a step back for a second. Why would you want to protect your 401k? You're sitting at the table. You've saved up $800,000 in your 401k. Your nest egg is at a point where you're ready to retire. You're sitting down with a financial advisor or somebody. In our case, it's the AIM retirement system. You're ready to go through a lot of things. You're ready to talk about how can I get guaranteed income for the rest of my life. You're ready to talk about how can I maximize my wealth with doing a Roth conversion. You're talking about Social Security maximization. Give me one more thing. I'm putting you on the spot. Medicare. Right? I mean, it's so much. There's so much to talk about. Long-term care. This is the AIM retirement system. Okay, so back to this screen. You are not at the table anymore if you lose 20% of your money, 30% of your money, 40%. You're not even at the table. You're working for another 4 or 5 years. Okay, so the point that you're at right now is not about making more money. You are about to retire in the next 3 to 4 or 5 years. The point is not to lose it. So on the left-hand side of the screen shows you over the last 50 years what your target date fund would have done for you in a year. This is a person with $750,000 in their 401k and possible outcomes. Okay, there's 50 different outcomes. The best outcome, they made $204,000. That's awesome. The worst outcome, they lost $120,000. You're not at the table if that happens to you. The right-hand side, as I said, it comes with the cost. You're protecting your money. We'll talk about how you do that. You will make less money by taking the route of protection. This is retirement. It's not about how much money I can make. It's about how much money can I avoid losing. And the most important word or number on that chart is the no loss. Okay?
Yep, for sure.
Typical outcome, you got $750,000. You got 1 year to retire. On the left, you're probably going to make $72,000 if you stay in that 401k. Translation, you're probably going to be okay, but you may not be. On the right-hand side, typical outcome, you're only going to make $47,000. That's about, what, $25,000 difference?
Yeah.
Okay. If you are worried about the difference between of $25,000, are you ready to retire?
No.
No. Right. Your concern here is to protecting your retirement. Basically guaranteeing that you have in a year from now or 2 years from now or 3 years from now that you have a seat at the table with that advisor ready to go through a full financial plan. And that's the point of protecting you have. So with that, I think we should get to your question of the day.
Question of the day.
Yeah, so what is the question of the day?
Our question of the day comes from Michelle. She was asking about an in-service distribution, what that is, and how you actually go about doing it.
All right, let's hear her question.
Hey, my name is Michelle. I'm 63 years old, and I have a question about getting money out of my 401k. I've heard about an in-service distribution. Can you tell me how that works?
All right, that's a good question.
Yeah. So basically...
Well, yeah, what's the answer?
Yeah, so an in-service distribution is basically when you're 59 and a half, you would be able to move the funds out of your work 401k into an IRA in your own name.
Right. And what's the whole point of that? I mean...
Well, the reason you would do it is because it would be in your name, in your control, and you'd be able to protect it, which you're not able to do with your 401k.
So if you do that, what kind of taxes are you paying to basically move your whole life savings in that 401k into this separate vehicle?
Well, the in-service distribution is basically an IRS rule. They know that the 5 years before retirement is a time of danger for someone who plans to retire. So the whole point is to put it in something where you would have control and be able to protect it. So it's it's not taxable.
So I know recently we had an individual come in. They were scared of the weather coming in, and he actually did this.
Yeah. That was the guy who you showed him. He was in step 2 of the AIM retirement system.
Yeah.
And you showed him how his 401k was allocated.
Right.
And I think he had less than a year to retire.
Yeah, like 6 months, I'm pretty sure. Yeah.
So you show him, he gets freaked out. He realizes that he could lose this money, whatever, if the market goes down 30%.
Right.
And then, so he learns, okay, I'm going to do the in-service distribution. And he basically set up the meeting, and then it starts snowing, and it gets dark out, and like his wife didn't want to.
Yeah, she wasn't a big fan of driving.
She's like you.
Yeah, I don't like driving in the snow either.
But he came over anyway because he wanted to get the in-service done.
Yeah.
And I guarantee you that night, you're right, Austin. That night he definitely slept well. But yeah, I mean, that's how it works. It's pretty easy. How you usually do it.
You just have to call the 800 number on the statement, and you move the funds from that check into your IRA.
Phone call, and then I guess some of them don't even take a phone call anymore.
Some of them might have paperwork.
Yeah.
It's pretty rare. I say most are a phone call and 20-minute call, and you have it underway.
So how long does it take, would you say, typically like 2 or 3 weeks to protect your 401k?
Yeah, it's usually, a couple of days for them to actually process it, and about 10 days in the mail.
I just think it's the best thing to do. And if I'm really thinking about it clearly, I've never had a person not feel good about like a breath of fresh air or relief, I guess.
Yeah.
It makes sense to me. But
so let's just summarize what we talked about today.
Yeah.
We have the in-service distribution. That is the solution to the problem that there are with people being in these target date funds and maybe not having
the solution.
Yeah, not having their 401ks in safety.
I agree. I mean, that's definitely what it comes down to. Like I said, I don't know if it's right for everybody. In my mind, it is.
You really have to protect that nest egg that you've built up.
I feel like that's the whole point of the entire show today, is protecting what you have. When Dr. Wade Pfau says there is a fragile, not fragile, fragile decade surrounding your retirement date. The man is right. And we are just basically saying that most people are not aware of that. Most people, their retirement becomes at risk when they're at 60. They have all this money sitting in a 401k. It is there is an opportunity out there to do an in-service distribution. Most people don't know that the IRS allows them to do that tax-free.
Right.
And why wouldn't you protect what you have? If you truly are ready for retirement in the next 4 to 5 years, why wouldn't you put yourself in a position where you can say, I don't have to worry?
Right, rather than have to work longer if something happens.
Okay, so now I feel in my mind, one of the best parts about this show is that we have made it very, very easy for people to talk to us. I know my favorite way, but Austin, you probably feel like the best way. And Brooke set this website up, so why don't you tell it? If I was listening to the show right now, and I wanted to ask us a question, how would I do it?
Yeah, go to our website, retirementforlife.com. There's going to be a little microphone you can just push and talk into that and leave your question. You don't even have to dial, so just leave your question there.
You press the button.
Yep.
I love it.
Yeah.
You don't have to do nothing.
Nope.
Yeah.
Except just talk.
Except for our preferred way would be to call us.
For us older people. Non-millennials.
877-80-RETIRE.
877-80-RETIRE. I think that's great. But, also they can talk to me. Retire15.com. Is that what it is, Brooke?
Yep, Retire15.
So we have set this up, and it really works well because people go to retire15.com and they pick a 15-minute time slot. I have had conversations to talk to me. I have had conversations about people's dogs, people's dads, estate tax returns, Roth conversions, and everything in between. And the whole point of this is to give back. So after 15 minutes, we're done talking. I just think it's great that we give people options to ask us questions. I think it's awesome. So go at retirementforlife.com. Ask your question. You don't have to dial the phone. You don't have to speak to anybody. It's totally like 2023, 2024.
Yep.
People walking down the street, just looking at their phones, pretending like nobody else exists. You can do that like a robot. If you want to be like a real person, a non-millennial, you can call 877-80-RETIRE.
Yep.
You will talk to, I guarantee it, somebody, if it's not Andrea, another retirement specialist who's been doing this for a long time. And if you want to talk to the bald big guy, retire15.com. Ask me anything. My entire schedule is completely free for these calls. You can call me. You can actually sign up for something at 2 o'clock in the morning, I think. But if you do, I will not take it. But that's how that works. So now let's go to what's on our mind.
What's on our mind?
Okay, so yesterday I'm sitting there and I read the news. I love the news. And I specifically like, now the computer knows what I like to read, so it gives me suggested stuff. Do you guys get that?
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah?
That's with everything nowadays. Yeah.
Probably similar to what you're reading.
It's like, I don't know how it knows.
It's listening.
It's pretty cool.
Yeah, it is.
I don't have a problem with that, personally. I know a lot of people say it's an invasion of your privacy, and I don't know. I'm probably naive. I don't care if Google knows where I live. I don't care if Google knows that I want a driver for the golf course next year. I don't care. Like, maybe it's because I have nothing to hide,
Yeah.
and maybe I should be concerned. But I don't know. Do you guys care that Facebook knows everything about you?
No.
No.
They said that, I don't know if it was Facebook or Instagram or Google, they say knows more about you than your spouse. Have you heard that? It's
I haven't
true.
heard that. I
Like-
wouldn't be surprised by that.
Yeah.
Yeah. It knows more about you than your spouse, which is kind of freaky.
Yeah, it is.
Anyway, so I'm scrolling today, literally like 2 hours before the show, and this pops up, and I don't know if it's an example of the government just not knowing what the hell they're talking about, right? Because it's two different parts of the government. But so it comes out, this is just this morning, December 26th. I know we're listening to this in January, but whatever. And they say, according to the U.S. Census Bureau, that the basically median annual income for Americans age 65 or older, which is exactly who this show is for, people 55 to 75. The average income is about $50,000, and that includes Social Security. Okay. In the same article, the Bureau of Labor Statistics reveals that Americans age 65 and older have an average annual expenditure of, let's call it $58,000. Okay. I see this. I see people not being able to live comfortably. I see people not having enough income. I would say, though, there's like a little statistical anomaly now I'm looking at this. Like, there's a difference technically between the median and the average.
Right.
So that might be part of it. But I think it really drives home the point that you need to have a plan.
Yeah.
And like, what's the first thing that comes to mind when you think of that?
My first thing I was thinking is they should maybe do the AIM Secure Retirement Assessment, because maybe they took Social Security too early.
Yeah. So for me, Social Security is probably the first thing we look at, right?
Yeah.
And maximizing that as part of the AIM retirement system.
Yeah.
And then maximizing your guaranteed income. And income is a big part, because you really can't do much to control your expenses.
Right.
What you can do is control your income by making smart choices about stuff like that. So you're right. So the AIM assessment is basically 8 questions. People can go on and answer 8 simple questions. One of them is, how old are you? Okay. There's some other questions on there, Brooke, like this and that, but it's 8 questions. So then one of our retirement planning counselors takes those 8 pieces of information and basically puts it through the AIM retirement system. And it's not a full retirement plan, obviously, because you can't assess a person's full retirement with 8 questions.
Right.
But it's the coolest thing we offer, in my opinion. When we're sending out these reports, people are getting this assessment. It basically is an overview of where they're at, whether they are soon to be retired or retired, and it gives them the top 3 things they can be doing so that they don't end up like the average American.
Right.
It's amazing one tweak can do to a portfolio or a retirement plan.
For sure.
And the AIM retirement assessment tool can point that out. But I hope this is not true, because that means that the average retiree is spending too much, or frankly hasn't done enough good things with their money. And that's what's on my mind today. So let's wrap up this show. The key points of this show, I'm not going to say them. I'm going to make you guys say them. What are they?
Well, doing an in-service distribution, protecting your retirement.
Understanding those target date funds, the risks in those 401ks, and avoiding that danger zone.
Dr. Wade Pfau, my guy. Look him up. You'd be surprised. Like when you picture a man named Wade Pfau, I guarantee this amazingly smart man who's changed the way we work with retirees, he doesn't look anything like your picture in your mind right now.
Really?
He's super smart, and I love the guy. So maybe he'll be a guest on our show one day.
Oh, man,
That'd be awesome.
Dr. Wade, nah, he probably has no interest, but hopefully I'll ask him. I got to tell you, we did episode 1. If you go back to episode 1, you know what I said. You know my personal story. We put a lot of work into this show. I love doing this. You guys came here on your day off. And so with all the effort we put into this show, if people are enjoying it, people getting value out of it, if you want to help us out, you can just tell a friend about what you heard today or what you saw today, because that's doing us a favor. How else can they help us out?
Well, they could go to their favorite podcast platform and give us a follow and a rate.
Follow the podcast, Brooke. That's what Brooke's always said. You got to follow the podcast and rate it. Give us 5 stars, not 2.
No, 5.
If you're going to give us 2 stars, just don't do anything.
Yeah. Put yourself.
But my goal is to get 1 million YouTube subscribers. So that's the most important thing. So if you're watching this on YouTube, how you get...
Go to Retirement for Life YouTube channel, subscribe, and give us a like there.
Yeah, subscribe. Hit that bell.
Hit the bell. Get notified when our next episode comes out.
Hit it. Thanks for watching today, you guys. Thanks for listening, and we'll see you next time on Retirement for Life podcast. Take care.
Investment advisory services provided by Sear Financial, Inc., SEC registered investment advisor. All content on this podcast is for information purposes only and should not be considered investment, legal, or tax advice. Material presented is believed to be from reliable sources, and no representations are made by our firm as to another party's informational accuracy or completeness.